Mwasibire muta, mwasibye mutya, amahoro, agandi, byaibo, habari gani, muraho, sangonini, kopango, odeo. For those of you who are wondering what that was, these are some of the various local greetings found in East Africa's diverse languages. Welcome to She Center, the female podcast, where I dive into the issues and experiences that affect women everywhere. I am your host, Resti Kansime, and I am passionate about creating a safe space for women to share their stories and triumphs. I want to thank you for tuning into my podcast, and I would love for you to join our community and stay connected with us beyond this episode. You can find us on Instagram at _She Center _podcast, and follow us on Facebook at the She Center Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to this podcast and hit that follow and like button on our social media to be part of the conversation. Welcome back to yet another empowering episode of She Center, the female podcast, where we celebrate the incredible stories of women everywhere, especially in Uganda and East Africa at large. Special welcome to the new listeners on here. Thank you so much for giving this safe space to women. If you haven't listened to any other episode, please drop by. Just scroll down, listen to other amazing stories. My episode is the first one. I'm sure you'll love to hear me talk about my journey and what inspired me to get here. To the OGs, the people who are always listening in, thank you so much for always coming back week after week to give a safe space to these amazing women that we have been hearing from. And today, we have a special guest who embodies resilience, creativity, and self-acceptance. Joining us is the vibrant and inspiring Jofita Maua, I hope I said that right, who is born and raised in Nairobi, Kenya. The coolest thing about this is I reached out to Jofita because she followed the She Center podcast account on Instagram last year when I had just started out. And something about it made me follow her back, and I have been following on her account. You know, it's really cool seeing young people who are very vibrant and doing things that I wasn't able to do at that age, you know, in my early and mid 20s, you know, Gen Z group. So because I continuously saw her on my timeline, something told me that I needed to reach out to her and hear her story, or invite her to this safe space to share her story. And I was very happy when she accepted. So here's a short introduction about Jofita. Jofita straddles the line between Gen Z and Millennials, bringing a unique perspective to her journey. Raised by parents who were both educators and school owners, with her name on the on the school, Jofita faced immense pressure to excel academically. Who wouldn't? Oh my God. Despite excelling, she often felt overshadowed and doubted by her peers, which only fueled her determination to prove them wrong. Go girl. Jofita is not only a teacher by profession, she is also a passionate fashion stylist, a store owner at G Fashion Hub. If you're in Kenya, please check her out, and a podcaster. But what truly sets her apart is her advocacy for people living with eczema. Having battled self-esteem issues due to her skin condition, she now uses her platform to educate and empower others facing similar struggles. In today's episode, Jofita will share her journey of resilience and self-discovery, from dealing with the emotional challenges of her mother's illness and passing to overcoming scrutiny and harassment as a young teacher. Jofita's story is one of triumph over adversity. She will also talk about her ventures in fashion and podcasting, and how she found her voice and community through these creative outlets. So Sit back and get ready to be inspired by Jofita's incredible journey. Let's dive in. Hi, Jofita. How are you? I hope I said your name right?
Yes, you did. Amongst the
Awesome.
very, very few who do.
Awesome. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing great. I can't really complain. God has been good.
Amen. That's really good. I think you followed me last year on the podcast, and ever since then I always see like your content and stuff. It's really vibrant and very exciting. Like I always look forward to seeing your exciting content. And I did subscribe to your podcast, but I haven't gotten time to listen to a lot of the episodes. But it's quite interesting. It's really good to see people who are trying to use the space that we have been given, like the global space we've been given, to share our ideas. And so the other day, I think you posted something. I don't even know. Oh, I think I've been following your whole thing of fashion and stuff. I was like, I should get this girl on the podcast to share her story, because I love fashion as well. But I also like to see people who are young, I'm definitely older than you, who are trying to not sit down and complain about the government, why don't we have jobs, but using their phone and their microphone to do a lot of stuff with it. And that's something that I'm really advocating for right now, because many people are seated home and, complaining. Well, you can just make something out of what you have with you. So please introduce yourself to those who don't know you. I'm very sure many of my listeners will be like, where did she get this girl from?
Right?
Yes.
I'm also wondering.
I'm like, well, I like to study people. So I was like, I do. I was like, this might be a very interesting conversation, because according to your content, I feel like you have a lot to share. And so welcome to the She Center podcast. Just a brief intro. I am trying to build a platform which is going to be digital. And I figured I have done my research. I know what women need. I know what to put on the platform. However, that might be my opinion. So I figured if I talk to different women on the podcast and have them share their stories, I will have evidence-based research that will give me a reason to say, okay, the reason why I put this specific thing on the digital platform is because I spoke to a couple of women and they all came up with these kinds of reasons why such a thing is necessary. So from whatever you tell me, it will be very supportive for me. The platform will be in East Africa, and hopefully next year it will be launching. And I'm always looking forward to speaking to people from outside Uganda, because I'm trying to make it East African, but most of the people I'm talking to are from Uganda. So I hope this opens the door to so many more Kenyans.
I hope so too.
I like to ask the question, what happened to you? Because I feel like if I say what happened to you, it gives you an opportunity to think through your life. And what I'm interested in is getting to the Jofita that we see right now on social media. Yeah. Hopefully your friends, family, and so many people can listen to this. And in many cases, we think we know people and we actually don't know them that much, because there might be a reason why you're very passionate about fashion. There's a reason why you are the way you are right now. And that could be from something that happened when you were a child or something that happened along the way. So please share about your childhood experiences and how you think they might have impacted the person that you are right now and how you see the world.
I'm wondering, where do I even start?
Start from I was born.
Start from I was born. So I'm a Nairobi babe. I'm a Kenyan girl, a Nairobi babe. By that it means I've lived here all my life. So I was born in Nairobi in 1998. That means I am just about
Gen
25.
Z.
I am Gen Z.
Yes, Gen Z.
But I am like katikati.
At the border of Gen Z and Millennial, yeah?
Nilicheza zile games za VCD, but I also really know much about PlayStations and stuff like that. So I'm in the middle kidogo. I was born, I am a second born in a family of 3 girls. My mom is deceased, but my dad is alive. So we live with our grandma. That's a whole other backstory. That's who is Jofita. So you've said like what happened to me. Let's say I evolved, I learned, and I'm living. Hopefully, from what you just said right now, from the explanation you give of how you met me and how you know me and all of that, I'm like, hey. Like, you just validated me for a second. I was like, yes.
Yeah.
So, I am a teacher by profession. I went to school. I went to like
Wow.
University of Nairobi, so I am a teacher. But
Wow.
by passion, I am a fashion enthusiast and a podcaster. And that's mainly just a digital creator. So I balance between the two right now, since I decided to take other measures when I was growing up, and I said, I think let me follow my passion. That's the Gen Z in me. The Gen Z was like, let's follow the passion. The other part was like, let's do what we promised, mom. And then it became a battle.
Yeah, I see the battle between millennials and Gen Z in your mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's big.
Yeah, I can imagine. So how was it growing up? How was it growing up in Nairobi as a girl or as a woman?
Nairobi is one very, very chaotic. There's a lot of things that go on in Nairobi. If there's anybody who knows about Nairobi, and I know if you've had people in East Africa, then I can tell you Nairobi is one of the busiest cities in Africa.
I've been there. It was like so crazy.
See? So I grew up having to be upped all the time. I grew up in a family where my mom was a teacher. She headed a school, and my dad was the director of the school. So I had to be.
Oh wow!
Yes.
Did you go to the same school?
Yes, I did. I had to like
pressure.
Pressure. Wait, and then the school was named after me.
Jesus. Were you like? Let's talk about this. How is that? Because I can only imagine. People must be like, yeah, you're only favored. You're this and this and this. How was this experience? Wow.
I think there was a misconception that if you come from a family of, like, if you guys own a school, you'll be treated nicely. You'll always get the best. You'll have snacks. You'll be chilling. The others will be cruising. You'll be chilling. They don't talk about the fact that if your father or your mother is a headmaster, then you have to be top at everything, top at how you look, how you speak, how you eat, how you read, how you do your exams. True. It's top. So like the pressure was high, but I said it's pressure, but also I also got to like do a lot. Like, let's say my mom being a teacher and the fact that she is no longer here, there's still a lot of things that are in me that were instilled by her through that time, because I was growing up next to a teacher. You have no choice. So my discipline and all of that came from there. And also I got the snacks. The snacks always came. I went for free trips. What else? I was always number one because I'm competitive. That's just an thing. Very, 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 very competitive.
Is that a perfectionist syndrome thing, or is it just like that? Did it come naturally to you, or did you feel like you have
naturally?
To be?
I was like, my mom is so cool at what she does, and my dad is always next to my mom, and they're all so cool. And then I was like, okay, even me, this school is ours, so let me be cool. Honestly, that was where I was.
Okay, yeah. Did you feel any kind of pressure because of that?
The kids made me feel it. It's the kids at that time, because I know we were young. We were very young. So these kids were always like, mi lazima nikushinda. Okay, that is in Swahili. Sorry, I have to like be number one, because there's no way you get everything in this life and you still get to be number one. So I'm like, why don't you think I deserve it? Just because I came from, just because you guys think I'm getting it free, because they always thought, probably get the grades just because I'm a Nepo baby. I was like, nah. So I had to do everything. I did drama because I had to show them I cram lines because I have a brain, not because you guys drilled me to cramming lines, and I'm good at what I do because I'm good at what I do. So this is the spirit of competitiveness just came from there. The only thing I never did was sports. And when I did, I kind of won, or I tried to win it, because I'm still
So
competitive.
were you afraid to just get into it, or you didn't want to commit to it?
I don't like getting tired. I've never hiked. I'm not a gym person, so I didn't do PE. Yeah.
I hear you. Yeah. So how was something like this in that, because did you, like, that was in the primary school, right?
Yes.
The school for your parents. And how was it going into a different, like, secondary school where your name wasn't on the school uniform and everything?
You wait. So I go to class 5. My mother decides, I don't really think we'll upscale from like kindergarten to like junior. Right now it's junior high. So she was like, I want you to go where your sister is at, because your sister is doing very well. And my sister was doing very well. She was like older than me. And for them, it was like, you've competed. For me, I felt like, okay, so they want to throw me in the den of lions because they feel like I'm done with these puppies. Because I was always number one in this side. So I was like, okay, you guys are trying me. And my mom was just like, nah, I just want you to see what's outside there. You know, you need to compete. You need to see what people are doing outside there who are not like here at home. Because, you know, they didn't have this discussion, but they felt like I was comfortable with my grades also, and there's so many things I could have learned outside. So I was put next to my sister. That's the first thing. In a foreign land where she was dominating. So I became a shadow.
Yeah. Were you were not in the same class, right? She was above you.
No, she was above me just by like 2 years, and everybody would be like checking their names.
Why can't you
that's
be like,
your sister, that's your sister, that's your sister. And then eventually, I'm such a joker, because when I went to the new school, I was like, I'll just vibe here. I didn't know it's pressure times 10 in that school. So at the end of the day, I just landed like on the middle scale while she was on the high scale, and they were like, you know who your mother is, you know what your sister is doing.
Wow, I know. That's
and
pressure.
I still didn't. The middle child syndrome, I really was nonchalant even then. So I was just like, you guys don't worry. So the pressure started getting intense as I started going to like grade 7, grade 8. I was about to sit for KCPE. That's the primary school certifications. And I was still joking big time. Like, man, I didn't have my priorities in check, because I think after I shifted school, my focus just went off. And I really didn't have that relationship with my sister where we'd sit down, we'd talk, she'd tell me, do your books. All we'd do is be thrown into the study room, be told to study at night, wake up in the morning, take a bus for school, go to school, come back, do homework, go to the study room. Yeah, you know, so I grew up with that upbringing. So me, the pressure wasn't really that pressure until it became pressure when my mom was sick, because my mom got diagnosed with cancer, I think, when I was in class 6. And then my sister was about to sit for her papers, and then my mom was like, you know, the least you can do is like go to school and get your papers. But she wasn't saying it outright. But if you're smart, like we were smart by then, one thing I'll say is we grew up in a very, you could tell there's some things you can't really be that dumb. So we were like, okay, it looks like there's some pressure somewhere. And then school started getting harder, and that's because of the fees and the stuff. So the payments were going to had medication, and we didn't know. So by the time the teachers came to me and they were like, why are you misbehaving, and your parent are like, what do you mean? She doesn't look sick to me. And then I went one time and I checked, and
wait, you didn't know that she was sick?
No, not really.
Oh no.
Actually, it's my big sister that we snuck up like upstairs with my big sister one time when my mom and dad had left for an appointment. And then at that time, when we were just chilling, she was like, let's see what's inside here. So when we were checking the x-rays, that's when we saw things like lymph, what we could pick, because we were smart. So we saw like the cells had doing like all that stuff you read in cancer. Like, and then we saw the breast, because it was looking like a chest and all of that. And my sister was like, okay, do you think mom has cancer? And I was like, maybe. Like, what do you think she's told anybody? And we're like, I don't know, because my mom was also good at being a big girl about things.
That's tough for a child.
Yeah, so like everything had to change at that time. I don't even know what happened. I think the priorities I had, like with studies and all of that, the big, sharp, all rounded, all smart girl, I don't know where she went to. She just got lost for a while after that.
Yeah, definitely.
Because eventually, now I saw my mom and I was like, what am I supposed to be doing? What do I even tell you? Like, how do I ask? And then she told us, and then she started going to hospital. So, like, at that time, I was just going to school. Now I started doing the same thing, like, I've been doing. Now I was just, like, on a loop. Like, let me go to school, let me come back, let me get my grades, let me be a good person. It was just a circle.
Yeah, you were just going with the...
Yeah, that's how for me, I feel like being a teacher by profession is because it's my profession. I'm good at it. Very.
Yeah. And you had a really good teacher as well.
Very good teachers. And I went to very good school, so I am literate, very literate. I am smart and all of that. But I chose to follow my passion, especially after that period and what happened during that period.
But you see what you're saying, but I don't see that as like a but. I see that as you using your teaching skills for something that you're passionate about. Because if you are a teacher and you, let's say for instance, you are a content creator, yeah? I could be a content creator, but when I get onto the phone, I don't know how to deliver my message because I don't have the teaching skill with me. But if you're a teacher, you know when to get someone's attention, you know how to, do PowerPoints and have everything organized for someone to digest. It becomes a little bit easier for you to teach the globe. So you're internationally teaching people fashion, or you're internationally teaching people your ideas, but you're not in class.
That's actually what I tell myself every single day so that I can go to sleep nicely.
No, it is. You definitely are. You definitely are.
You see the way you're saying it right now, I don't also think I grew up in a setting, or let's just say a family whereby that's how they took it. So it was very hard to prove my point.
Africa is tough. Africa is tough. If you are not a doctor, lawyer, teacher or something, you have to be in that profession. Whether you're getting 200K or you're getting no money at all, they're like, oh, she is this. And then when you start doing something that actually makes money and makes you happy, they're like, she has wasted her life away. Like, we need to change this narrative. That's
why at a point where I'm like, the resilience I have as a creative cannot die now. I mean, I owe it to every other person who want to be a teacher but still want to be a fashionista. Because I've gone into classrooms and I've been told, oh, you don't look nice, go to the administration, and then they'll start telling you how you're doing the worst things by just being who you are in front of these kids, and I'm like, what did I do wrong? And they're like, why are your clothes not looking official? But my kids are passing.
Exactly.
Guys, let's focus.
Thank you so much. Focus. Oh my God, thank you for saying this. Thank you for saying that. Yes. How long did you teach, like, in class, and what grade were you teaching?
Man, I'm a high school teacher, so I was teaching teenagers. Now you can imagine the pressure.
I think teenagers relate to people who act like cool.
Yeah.
If I remember my time back in high school, we always had teachers who were chill with us, who dressed up well, and when that person came into class, you wanted to pay attention. You look forward to going to class because of how they made you feel while you were in class. So how was it with you?
Imagine that's why I actually did want to become a teacher, like, leave alone the whole me wanting to follow in my mom's footsteps. And like, because my family was convincing me this is in the genes, it's in the blood. That's the one thing. The other thing is I had a history teacher, and she was always, she's like 6 foot tall, dark, very beautiful. Like, she would walk into the classroom and you'd be like, okay, this is African beauty.
Yes,
but you couldn't tell
I want her life.
Yeah, this is what I want. So
yes,
if it's not like this, I don't like it. So like all of that was just like chiming into the reasons as to why I got into education. But I could not explain that to people who are in like two generations older than me, and I think I was the youngest at that time in that in those premises, I think I was the youngest. So I'm the youngest, first of all. Let's not lie, I look good. So the pressure is 10 times harder.
She's going to steal our men.
Yo, after the men I'm stealing, the men I was stealing were not even stealable.
I know.
So annoying.
Yeah. So they were insecure because of
a lot
you
of
were
insecurity
in yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of why are you different? We don't know how to deal with different. So it's either you stick with our protocol or you get out of here. The men were menning. The men were just menning. Lord,
without any behavior.
Yeah, I literally went through like sexual harassment when I was teaching, and I didn't tell anybody because that was my last day. Like after I picked up my documents, like I was going to like clear my desk. I was like, this is why I didn't want to stay in this. Like I knew it. I knew something was up. So
yeah,
my gut was just like, I know you want to be a good person. I know you want to teach. I know you want to help the community, but I don't really think it's like this. It's not at the expense of
your life. It is, because that's a whole traumatic experience. If you're going through people, I think there's the worst thing in life. It's already hard for a person to be themselves, to accept themselves with everything that they are, and to express that self outside in the world. But what's worse is if the other people don't accept that person, that like you're already doing your best to be you, and then those people are like, no, we don't like you. You're like, so who should I be?
And even
that's the worst environment to be in.
Sometimes in this like house of mine in my head, I don't like myself. Even me, I want to chase myself away.
Yeah,
but I'm trying to stay here. So helping situations by making me feel like I just walk away. I didn't even say anything.
That's very amazing.
Like, nah. And after that, I opened up a shop, G Fashion Hub. That's how I started it. That's actually how.
How long ago has it been?
That's like 4 years now. Wait, 2019, during COVID.
Oh, so you stopped during COVID, yeah?
Yes.
I actually, that's quite interesting. A lot of things happened after COVID.
I'm grateful. If not for
I know,
COVID,
yes. I know. A lot. COVID gave us perspective. COVID gave people a lot of things to think about. I think it was that stillness of the world is shut down. Think about your life. Are you really living your purpose?
That was the first question. Like I have my journal here somewhere. That's the first question I like when I was given that journal by my dearest sister. She had to smile. She didn't even smile. She gave me that journal when she was in high school, and I was like, thank you. So like I was like, what am I supposed to write in this thing? And then the first thing was, what is my purpose? And after that, I just opened up doors that I didn't even know existed.
Did you start writing? Did you start writing in it when you were in high school or way later?
Way later. I started writing it after I was now tired. It was either me or that book. Something had to go. So like in my head, I was like so tired. I was just like, I need to go. I need to get out of here. I cannot lie to you and say I haven't thought about the worst of the worst, because it was that hard. Growing up was not that easy, in as much as I'm smiling. It was hard.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that journal was the one reason I have gotten to where I am.
And how do you ever read through some of the stuff that you wrote back in the day?
I love talking to myself. I think I am psycho, but every creative has some psycho in them.
We need to. We really need to. Every person needs to have. They say have a meeting. Have a meeting with yourself. Yes, we need to do this, no matter how crazy it sounds. I like that you're sharing this, because what's interesting is that you might find it weird and you don't try it, but weird things are usually the things that you need to do. Like talking to yourself, you have a meeting with yourself and say, did you really have to do that? Are you really living the life that you want to have? Argue it out, and in your brain, it helps you, because by the time you open your mouth to talk to other people, you've already had this conversation with yourself.
Rusty, I have laughed. Let me give you guys like a laughing session for 2 seconds, because at the end of the day, I'm a podcaster. So I opened my journal today and I'm like, okay, so let me see, when I'm asked what happened to me, what will I say? Because the journal.
Yes.
yeah. And then I find this text I wrote because I was trying to like get this guy. Is that me? I think that's me. I was trying to get this guy, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And at that time, I was trying to get to this point where I was accepting a relationship. I was so happy. I was like, maybe I can do this. You know, after all the trauma I've undergone, maybe I can find love. So this guy, as usual, men were men. Men will leave you in the desert without water. This man was just like, I don't think I know what I want. So I'm like, it's fine. So like I went to the journal and I was like, dear journal, I really want to be honest and open, and I don't want to be nonchalant anymore. I want to accept who I am. So I'm going to tell this guy what I feel. And what's the worst he can say? No. And then I wrote down, love Jofita. 2 days later, after going to ask the question, the man gave me the answer. It was, I just want us to be friends. I went and wrote down, update. He said he just wants us to be friends. I was so heartbroken. I was so sad. I was feeling so bad. I was like, what is happening? Am I crashing? And a lot of I felt like a lot of things would go with what I was trying to build at that time. So I was so scared of life living.
Yeah.
And then now I'm looking at it 5 months later. I'm like, hey, Jofita.
Was that the end of life, really?
Was that the end for a man?
Man, that's why everyone needs to keep a diary and a journal.
And that's not the only man that's in the journal. There's another one.
Man. I love this. I used to write journals when I was in high school. To me it was like more like, you know how you write something, and I remember this one girl comes to me and she says, I feel like, literally she was looking forward to reading my journals. It was like a series for her. She was like, I feel like you're describing my life. And it was the usual, like, this boy likes me, do this, I feel this, and this song is helping me to go through this. And I found those journals when I was at university. I burnt them. I said, I don't want anyone to ever read this stuff.
Got to a place, my friend told me, you know what, you have a journal, it looks really nice, can you actually use it for your content? I'm like, what do you mean? And they're like, use it for your podcast. I'm like, yes, see, I will think about it. I just enter my brain. I just give you one story.
But I think that's definitely, that's a lot that people can relate to. That's a lot of stuff that can relate to. Yeah,
there's losses, there's successes, there's giving up, there's saying, I can't do this anymore, I'm tired, and then I go back and I'm like, okay, so we did it. It wasn't that bad. Yeah.
Wow. I love that. I love that.
Like I had to do that because I also, unfortunately, I was tasked with kind of parenting myself. Yes. So you have to go back and be like, what happened here? What are we changing here?
That's
so
I think
don't let this guy buy.
Best. I think that's the best education. Like, you are, like you said, you're reparenting yourself, and that's the best thing to do, because from what you're describing, it's like you have gone through a period where people were judging, telling you what to do, who to be, and you're like, you know what, I can't deal with the outside world. I'm already struggling on the inside to decide who I want to be. So now let me focus on having these conversations with myself, so that by the time I'm out there, you guys just see this bad babe and you're like, man, she's so cool. If you read her podcast, if you read her diary, you're like, well, this chick is just figuring things out just like us.
I look like such a baddie until you read and you're like, this baddie is a simp, yo.
That means you have it all under control. You have it all under control.
We are getting there.
I love that. That's really good. How okay, so you come out of teaching. Yes. Did you start with an online store first? Because I know during COVID, I don't know how long the pandemic took.
It had to be
in
online.
Kenya.
It had to be online.
Yeah.
It had to be online. Like, I was looking for something that would get me out of the house, but something that would earn me money. I was looking for something that I would be creative at, but would earn me money. For some I don't know, maybe I am I don't know. You know, the tribe that loves money is not my tribe. Mine loves lifestyle according to the society. But I don't know. I just, everything I thought about was like, is this going to generate income? Is this not going to stress me at the end of the day? So like an online shop was the easiest I could do. The other thing is I love thrifting. I love doing it because when I was growing up, like as a teenager, after my mom passed, I landed with my aunt and she loved fashion. So I picked it up from there also. And it was something that I didn't have an option. It was like, it's Saturday, let's go shopping. It's Saturday, let's go see if we can get clothes. And then we get nice clothes and then we come back. And then the other Saturday, we get clothes again. It became a thing. My taste in fashion just became big. So by the time I was in campus, I was always dressing good. Ask anybody.
Amen.
So by the time I was outside campus, I was like, what am I doing now? What's this? Online, I think I was online all day, like reading, because I had to be up to task with education. But then at the end of the day, I was like, so what am I doing with the extra time? I can't party. Can do anything. I can go outside. I can be with my friends, and that's campus life. So it's like, let's do something. Let's go to the studio. Why? Because I found friends who were in the studio. People just gravitate towards each other.
Yeah, true.
So I gravitated towards those friends, and my best friend was like, come, let me go show you something. And I was like, okay, let's go. And I met with them, and they were like, oh, what do you do? And I explained, and they were like, okay, so as we have a studio and this is what we are planning to do, this is what we're doing. And they were just in the process of branding what they're doing. So they wanted to merge what I do with them, because they're artists. They were videographers, producers, and artists, of course. So they were like, what if we make it like a full entity with like a podcast and all of that? That's how I actually got to live my dream. Because it was always in writing, but never serious. You know, for me, everything in that journal was always in writing, but it was never that serious. If it comes, it comes. So I was like, okay, me, I'm ready. I'm always looking nice, and we went to the studio, and it felt like home. So I felt like my brain just opened up.
Yes.
Like me being smart and being a bookworm, that's nice. I like being competitive.
Yes.
But this was different.
Your brain was allowed to think outside the box and to do all these things that you have always wanted to do.
And for the first time, it felt like I didn't have to go under anybody's rule. I didn't have to be grateful for being given any opportunity. I just had to be grateful for being who I was and being put where I am because of what I can do. And it felt so nice. So I was like, I have a shop. And they were like, what shop do you have? And I was like, I have a shop in mind. And my best friend was like, it's good. And I was like, no, you don't understand it. You went where you went. The business you were trying to do did not flourish. But it doesn't mean you can do it again. And that by that, I meant having a fashion store, an online store, because my best friend was the same. And when she came back, she was like so heartbroken because one of her friends started a business. You know how things happen. It didn't go as to plan, so she had to like cut ties. And I was like, you don't worry, we have a studio, we have brains, so let's put a plan in place. And that's how I decided, let me put all the energy that I spend crying about my life to work. And I always knew deep down inside me, every single time I was feeling bad or shitty, if I sat down and thought about anything, I'd create a masterpiece. Mimi na kina Adele. Me and Akina Adele, same case. You have to be in that space to create it. So
yeah, definitely. Yeah.
In my head, I was just like, let's sit down and see what we can come up with. And I was like, I like Shopify. What's Shopify? So I look at it. I'm like, I like these shops on Insta. What are they? I look at them. What? How do you become an entrepreneur? I look at it. So I just went I'm self-taught.
Was this at the university or was this when you were teaching?
No, I was multitasking. I was multitasking, like teaching and coming back and doing the stuff.
Okay, so this was after uni.
Yes, after the store came, like way after. When I was in uni, I just liked dressing up. It was just nice to dress up.
Yeah.
And I styled people for like Mr. and Mrs. university, the stuff. So like that's what built my courage. I was like, if I can do this and my models can win a pageant, then I can definitely do more. It started as a side hustle. But the more I was pushing, and I was like, are you sure this is what you want to do every day? Are you sure you want to teach and then feel sad because the school is
harassing you?
The school is not creative. The school was
schools
not
need
creative,
to become
man.
creative.
Schools we need to do some, especially in East Africa. I feel like if I did these things digitally, and that's what I also intended to do either way. I was like, I'm not running away from being a teacher. I just want it to be in terms that are favorable to me as a teacher and the students and the whole administration as a whole entity. Because if businesses are doing what they're doing right now and they can run everything just remote, and I graduated after remote learning during COVID from the University of Nairobi, and it didn't have that. But you see, they implemented it. So I was like, why not? So, but I was like, no, first of all, let me first see this passion. Let me see where my passion is gonna take me, because I like it and I like what it gives me. It gives me happiness. So the store was solely because of happiness, because I wanted to prove to myself that I can do it. And I started it, and it was awesome. I remember the first pictures we took. It was like up on Shopify, and I was like, what is this masterpiece I have just created?
Yes, you have to celebrate yourself. So did you do this with your best friend?
Yes, I did it with my friend. I did it with my friend for like the first few months, and then life happened. I think she had to take another job because she had applied for a job and she didn't want to miss the opportunity. And I was like, as long as one of us is keeping this thing in check, then at least it didn't die, and it's not like I'm complaining. I'm actually happy to do it. So I don't think we had like such a big fallout, but let's just say one of us had to remain in the boot. And I remained in the boot. So like I've run it till now. Yes.
That's awesome. I love your journey, because what it's telling me is that you are using what you have, and for some reason you have, like, life is just happening, like you are embracing life as you go. Because you're like, okay, there's a possibility of saying, okay, I'm a teacher, let me just keep fighting at it, let me prove a point to these guys, let me fight them, you know. That's not your fight. But you are like, you know what,
and the part that I don't think people understand, and this I want to try and tell, is to like this generation wars that are happening. I did not choose to think how I think. I did not choose to prioritize myself. I just came out as a person who happens to love themselves. Maybe as my period and my time and my age, and this has nothing to do with generation. Maybe you had the option and the choice, but you chose that. Like, yes, you will struggle. Like, Gen Zs are actually legit. We are struggling. When people are mocking us and telling us, you complain you want a nice life, but you don't want to go to the office. It's true. But we're still choosing ourselves at the end of the day. And you can see that a majority of us are actually happy at what we do. And our generation right now is like totally different, man. We're doing things through a screen. That itself should tell you we are not thinking that yes, there's a very big difference. So like every time I tried doing this, and I was trying to talk to my grandmother. So the generation
how was that not to be said.
I wish.
But interestingly, grandmas sometimes are very understanding. They want to be told.
I keep asking myself in the universe, which one was I bestowed? This one is more of a mom than a grandma, but I also understand because she had to take care of me. So maybe there's that reason, you know, because she is loving, but she also has her traits that I feel at the end of the day I had to accept. I felt like most of my life was, oh my god, I don't want to see her sad, I want to see her happy. I want to do this because she'll be happy. And then that drove me into like depression, like very, 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 very bad depression. So like by the time we could have a discussion, like I just tell her what I want, I realized it was a fight, and I don't really like fighting. I don't like screaming. I don't like all of that. Maybe because of how I also grew up, because I grew up to some extent in a very loud and chaotic household. So
yeah, so you try to avoid it.
I avoid it as much as I can. Like, I slept in a place where people were fighting every day, like this whole marital problems every day. So
Yeah.
I said, let me just take back. I won't say anything. Me, I'll be quiet. And because of my silence, I feel like she felt like maybe I was drifting away all the time. But I had to. I mean, it's the only. I felt like it's peace of mind for both of us. So
yeah, that's true. That's
our
that's
relationship
quite,
is kind of is strange. But I feel like sometimes I have her qualities, and maybe if she was my age, maybe when she was my age, she did the same thing, man. I wouldn't know. So
what's actually quite interesting is that in many cases, I have this fight with my mom, yeah, like where like I'm doing some stuff, and what I started to realize is like she was like that. She just didn't do that stuff because of the limitations that the society had put on her. So your grandma is probably like, it's like, I need to keep her like this, but what she's not realizing is that her life, like, she's probably envious of the fact that you were able to do most of the things that she wasn't able to do, but she's also scared that you might end up like
it feels like we are getting away with the things we are doing.
Exactly. And she's like, how I didn't do this and you do this. And
I have her brain, my mother's brain, my father's brain, and mine. Combine them together, of course.
Exactly.
Course.
So maybe you remind her of your mom.
Yes, I do. And that's why we had a lot of problems, because I was like, I'm not going to take teaching because I'm trying to please you or please the memory you had. I'm going to do things in my term in a way that I feel she would also be proud of me wherever she is right now, because I still choose my path. And that statement you do not give to old people. No,
these days sometimes you like respectfully give it. Respectfully. You say respectfully.
I tried
Madam, Madam, I want to let you know that you will later understand why I've decided to do what to do. Even if you fail at it, she has to be there to say, you know what? At least you tried. At least you tried. But one thing I really love that you're sharing is the fact that you, first of all, you shared about like this whole conflict. I was just speaking to my mom yesterday. I think we were watching some kind of movie, and I was telling her that it's so interesting. Like in a family, either you turn out like where you are, like if there's chaos and everything, that might be your normal life. Like you go around always like responding the way you've always seen the people like you grew up with responding, or you will be the hyper vigilant person who is always like, okay, right now they are fighting, let me go to my room. Like you will avoid chaos, you will avoid anything that has to do with conflict. And that's quite amazing, because two siblings can live in the same house and come out and be two completely different people.
That's true. That's very true.
Yeah,
I actually had to mark you all this time when I was going through my childhood. I was very off with my sisters. We kind of didn't live in the same household according to the house arrangement situation. So I was forced to live alone. So that by the time I was actually meeting with other people, I was so avoidant. I was like, how am I supposed to start communication?
How is this? Like you lived with
my aunts.
family?
I lived with my aunts for like a long time. My sisters always lived with my grandma for a period, for like the longest time, yeah. And it's according to how life just put us, because when my mom was when my mom was sick, most of the time I would spend the time with my aunt. At my aunt's, like, because I always wanted to like just chill, play with my niece, and watch Disney in peace without fighting for the remote.
Yes, please. Your sisters, did this take away that bond that you had? Did you ever find this bond later on in love?
It took away that melodic life. I can't even believe I'm doing this podcast in front of my sister. Okay, she's not really looking at me, but she's here. I feel like there was a very big disconnect for a couple of years. Let's say 7 years. There was 7 years of like sibling relationships that was lost. But as I said, we came from a family, like just my own mom, my dad, and my sisters as we are. We were smart enough to understand things sometimes, and we tried to just be, I don't know, maybe it's just that's how we are wired. We don't really do much about the stress, but if we hang out and we find each other, we are easy. The the downside is we didn't really grow together. So our childhood is not together as much, but the upside is we became friends as we grew up. So now, on top of big sisters, we are friends.
So you had to learn about each other.
Yes,
like
through
intentionally
friendship.
learn about each other. I think sometimes that's good. Trust me, I grew up with my sister and we were fighting. We went to the same schools, we had holidays together, and we were in boarding school. And I was always compared to her, just like you. And like it's like we up to now, like when we're talking on the phone, my husband is always like, "Are you guys done fighting?" I'm like, "We're not fighting, we're just talking." Like we talk like we are fighting with each other. So I was like, "Yeah."
Okay.
And then when I call her,
imagine we finally got to the point we like finish. Then we are friends. But we also talk like we're fighting. We
but that's
we have
sisterhood.
that's like standard. I didn't know that was there. I thought it would never happen now that I was away from them. I'm still the same
No.
person.
I think it has something to do with you are similar. Like you have so much in common, so you will collide at some point.
True. Okay. Now I know.
Yeah.
Now I know.
Yeah, but if you have siblings where you're completely different, it's very. But I do believe it's in that fighting and colliding part of it where you actually get to learn so much about each other. I find that that's quite amazing. For me, like I know that I'm closer to my sister more than any person in this world because we spend that much time together. But through our fights, I am one person. I can fight with my sister, but don't you dare attack my sister. Like I will kill you.
That's a rule. That's a rule. Like I actually called my my sister's ex called her, texted her, and I was like, "Yo, this guy's texting you. Don't answer." I was ready.
Yeah.
I was born ready.
Yeah,
the fights
to
that
somersault
are not
and
mine.
like yo. Yeah, I think it gives you that kind of loyalty to protect. But I love it. I love it. Anyways,
it's interesting.
It's interesting. So just
and it's also
maybe
nice
you
that
can
you've grown up with the women.
Oh yeah, that's actually also something that stands out in what you were saying, like your auntie, your mom, and your grandma. How has that impacted how you see the world?
I used to see it with such a narrow vision, but now, oh my god, everything is just like I want to be angry, but I'm like, okay, maybe you're coming at this because this is what you feel like. Because I have dealt with the emotions. I went to school, so I did a bit of psychology. Because when I'm relating with other human beings, I kind of have to have psychology. I can't just come and start impacting knowledge. I must read a few things. So I get to the house and these things are happening, and I'm like, okay, so you could be acting like this because this is happening and this is happening. And sometimes that's what I tell my siblings. I'm like, you guys maybe are feeling like this because one of you is feeding this off, and the other one. I ended up being a mediator a lot, and then with my family in general, honestly, I just avoid the women, and women can be said to be very chaotic, especially if you guys have grown up in the same place and it's like very many women. it's just war zones. So most times I'm like, not my monkey, not my circus. That's how I grew up until I eventually realized it's better to do not my monkey, not my circus with my sisters, but I prefer to keep them closer. So now I know who to keep close and where if I go it's just bad because again, a family of women. Be wary of where to step and where not to step. Be wary of what to say and what not to say. Speak your mind most of the time if needed, but if possible, just be quiet because it won't make any sense, especially if the women are in hot emotions. But if they are calm, and I've seen them cheering each other on and supporting each other, and it's also helped to some extent because my sisters are always like, what do you want to do? Do it. What are you doing? Do it. They don't even wait. They're always supportive.
there's actually we are very chaotic as women with regards to how we relate to each other, but we support each other with our whole hearts, and we understand each other. Like, I could fight with my sister, but when I sit down, I'll be like, I actually understand where she's coming from, but I'm not gonna tell her.
Because even if I tell you right now, I'm still gonna be looking like I'm quarreling with you. If it was a guy would have walked away. So since I know right now you won't walk away in this mess, I will walk away. Like, I choose to do it better. And if I know you need the lecture at that time, I lay it flat. Again, as an Aquarius, you lay it flat and you walk away. Too bad. Feel bad, you come and say you will deal with it, but like later on. It's just, but yeah, it's kind of better how I relate with other women outside here too, because they've taught me how to relate with people.
That's quite interesting.
And I'm I think most of it is I listen a lot, hence the podcast. I was like, I think I should use my skills to expertise, because there's a time someone got really mad because they felt like I was being their anchor until I wasn't there anymore, and I didn't think it was that serious, only to realize I hold such weights.
It is like influence, in many cases when you start out something like that, you might think that you're doing it just for you, but you're doing, like, there's someone out there who is depending on your knowledge and that's why I think I remember, was it Rihanna who was saying, like, people were like, yeah, you need to watch how you dress up and how you act because our kids are looking up to you. She's like, man, I didn't give birth to your kids. If there's anything wrong with your kids, then you have done something wrong. I'm out here figuring things out with my life.
With my own kids.
Allow me to be me and not be the hero. Like, don't make me a hero in front of your children, or don't let your children see me as a hero. I want to talk about your podcasting journey. What are some of the challenges you found? I know, for instance, I didn't know this because I've been living here since I learned about podcasting. And I started listening to podcasts on my iPhone with the Apple Podcast. But I do know that, for instance, in Uganda, we don't have, like, we have Spotify, but only for music. We don't have you can't artists. Listen to podcasts on it. Yeah, you can't listen for podcasts on it. Like, to podcasts on it, you can only listen to music. And I also find that in Kenya, I saw that you guys are able to do this. Maybe you do have a lot of podcasters, I don't know, but you're able to listen to podcasts on Spotify. But how is I don't know, what is your target audience? How do you find that navigating to make sure, like, people listen to the podcast? Because I know that many people are used to YouTube. Like, everyone just wants to click onto a YouTube thing and watch it. And it takes, like, you have to literally educate people what a podcast is, why it's important, and how they can listen to it. Have you found some of these things challenging, or is it quite easy for your audience?
Yeah, of course it's challenging. Everybody wants to see a pretty girl. Nobody is really caring sometimes about the pretty voice. Until the pretty voice has some sense, then yes. So I try my best to... I'm lucky because I navigate two things. I navigate being a fashion stylist and a podcaster. You will definitely see me if you have not heard of me. You will definitely hear me if you haven't seen me. One thing will always drive to the other. The other thing is, my reason for starting a podcast was not really to like gain reach, be famous kind of thing, like get known. It was because I wanted to create a space, and this I've said so many times in my podcast. It is to create space whereby me and my friends could chill. My friends who happen to be creatives, just like me, who've always wanted to do something, or maybe come and just have banters and stories. Those people who would like to, like, put their thoughts outside there, or like their products or anything, And as I said, I have gravitated a lot towards friends who happen to be creatives. And I was like, okay, so what do my friends have that doesn't like... I'm friends with, like, a DJ, a producer. What is it I'm not finding? And I was like, a podcast. I've always wanted to be a podcaster. So I'm here, I'm hanging out with all these people. My interest is there, but not really there. But what am I interested in? Why do I stay in the studio? What do I like in the studio? And I was like, it's always been podcasting. This is something that also came years after I wrote it in the journal. Like, this came just last year, and that was after I decided, you know what, I've done a very good job at being an assistant for somebody who's done all these things. And I am, let's be honest, first, my education is way higher. Secondly, I feel like I don't even need education to have content in my brain. My brain is always just having content. But I am very funny, as you said, and goofy and cheerful, and I love making stories. In Costarian, where I used to school, like in a high school, they used to say, umbea ni kitambulisho cha mwanamke. That means gossip is the ID of a lady sometimes. So I always like to listen, listen. It wasn't really gossip, but I like hanging out and talking to my friends and having that time. I love story time. Tell me a story. So I was like, this is the perfect place. Why not? Still get to hang out with my friends. Still get to do what I do and what I love. Still get to impact knowledge, since I never really got a chance to be a teacher fully, and I want to teach about the world. I just don't want to teach about history and Swahili, of which you're always welcome to ask me to teach you history and Swahili. So it's more of me being with my friends, more of me just hanging out, having fun. I started it like that, and whatever I've gained from just that simple thought is crazy. Traffic, people just commending me. I remember last year during the Spotify Wrapped, 5 people sent me their screenshots of their top 1, and I was shocked. I'm like, what? Me?
Yeah. So, you never really know the impact that you're having out there when you're doing something.
That's when I was like, this is serious. So in my head, I was like, I just started it because I wanted to have a banter, and that's why I've never wanted to go. Okay, I do want to go visual because I feel like it's about time, but it's also not about time because I want to educate people. I don't want people to look. If you want to see me, go to G Fashion Hub. I have a whole store with my face nearly everywhere. Go to my page. I am everywhere. Go to events. They will tell you, because I also worked with entertainment industry a lot. Like me being a creative and being in this industry, I am seen, but I don't want to be seen for that. I want to have meaningful conversations. I want to have banters and just joke with people who come and hang out. Most of it is just geared towards that. It was actually a home, a community.
Yeah, I love that. I think if you start out something and you're under the pressure, that's one thing that I learned. If you're under this whole impression that you're out there and it's about numbers, you will get so frustrated. It will, you will turn passion into pain. You will turn it into a stressful thing because every day you're looking. These days, I can check maybe to see, okay, how is this episode doing, because I'm trying to see what kind of stories people are interested in. But I would just be I will talk to anyone. I don't care if the person is popular, not popular. The story is what I'm after. And I don't care if 2 people, 3 people, 5 people listen to this episode. Those 5 people have learned something from it. So it's something that you've said that's very interesting, because content, many people make content for the other people, but you have to do something for you. Why are you doing it? Why are you doing it? Are you trying to impress people, or are you trying to follow your passion?
Even with this, pardon, let me just add on one thing. With this generation that we're in, I feel like there's a lot of losing focus, especially with the fact that you just want to go with originally what's always been in trend. Because what's in trend is what you want to do. What's in trend is what you wanted to But what else? What do you have to give us? Why do you think all these views are relevant to your life? And I feel like the reason as to why I said I would take a break in having a profession that can actually earn me a lot in this economy right now, is because I felt like I lived my life so much trying to please the whole world that I didn't have time for myself. So content creation is a personal thing, because it's something I actually started planning for even before it was trendy. So I'm not here for this. I'm here to have fun, because every time I'm next to the mic, I'm like, yes. This is
and that's one thing you don't know. I did a study about celebrity politics, and at first I was just trying to I was doing for my master's thesis, and I was thinking I'm just doing the study because I wanted something fun, something easy. So I'm I want to write about Bobby Wine. I think you know Bobby Wine. I'm I write about Bobby Wine, why he's running for politics and stuff like this. And what I found was quite interesting, which is helping me right now. Like, I read so many articles about about the content, what kind of content is very like selling, even like with regards to politics. And people are attracted to someone who is themselves, someone who is real, someone who has like, if you're figuring things out. I read an article which was saying like, if you're a politician and people are seeing your posts every day, you know, about just like, you see how, like, I'm always telling my mom, like, Trump knows what his people want.
Right.
But he's being himself. So
Yes.
if you're out there hating on him, like, you might be someone who doesn't relate to someone, but that's not you. Like, there's so much content out there. Go find that
What
person.
relates to you.
Exactly. But
There's
by the time
definitely-
someone comes and follows you, then don't change for them, unless it's something that you feel like, okay, maybe I need to change because I feel like I need to change. But be you. The right people are going to be attracted to your platform. And I think that's the most interesting thing about like content creating. And what you're describing is like, you do it to have fun, you do it to enjoy yourself. You're not out there like thirsty, like saying, yo, come
Yup.
over, please follow me, I need one more follower. That
I
person
really-
will criticize you if you
Sometimes
do what
I'm
they
like,
want.
oh my god, I have a podcast, and somebody's like, when's the next episode? I'm like, I don't have a guest for this week. And then someone is like, okay, so I want us to do a podcast. And that's like 2 days later after I've struggled. I'm like, okay, so who? And then one of my friends is
Yeah.
like, by the way, I have an EP coming up. Can I come and like do something at your podcast? And I'm like, yeah, sure. Sometimes people will call me and they're like, I saw your post and I saw your podcast and I've seen who you are, so I want to do something. So I get to co-host. So like, me podcasting is just, it comes from within me, and I've struggled
Yeah,
so much
yeah.
to find that purpose. I feel like it struck this month officially, because I said, God,
nice.
I'm tired and you tell me what to do. And this whole month, it's just been God telling me what to do. Like, I haven't even looked for anything. I haven't looked for any. I haven't looked for. I said, if this is my passion, then let it gravitate towards me. And I guess it did, and it's proved to me that I don't really need those views, and I'm sure they will come, because once or twice in my posts, I've seen the engagement and the traffic, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
It's scary. Am I ready for that? So as I'm getting prepared for that, I pray for the guidance.
You need to be prepared
there.
for. Definitely.
Yes.
You need to. Sometimes people are rushing to get the following, but are you ready for that following? Because that following has opinions. That following they might crush you before you're ready.
Yo, that's the following that's going to be checking my diary and be like, I thought she was done with Bama's people. Like, it was a diary.
They'll be in what's it called? In Uganda, we call it like social media cousins or something like that. Like, you know how people get so invested in whatever you're posting, and then they're like, yo, let us know what happened after you broke up. You already made us a part of your relationship. You already made us a part of your
And
life.
I also
So
try my best not to put any of my
personal life.
Yes.
Yeah.
My personal
yeah.
life is probably my sister's, because I work hand in hand with one of them. So you will definitely see them in all my posts. Like, unless it's not for something that's beneficial for the both of us, please. Please. If you want to see us, come to where we hang out. We're very cool people. You'll find us. But apart from that,
I like that.
Nah. I only say
I
what
love
needs to be said, but I'm also quite open, because I do believe I'm speaking to so many girls outside there, especially after
Very
teaching.
true. That's very true. I love that. Okay, so before we conclude, I just wanted you, first of all, to tell us what's, like, the listeners, what's the name of your podcast, in case they were like, okay, this girl sounds very cool, can I follow her? What's the name of your podcast? I do have a lot of friends in Kenya, because Kenyans studied in Uganda.
Apparently, and they did.
Yeah, we have a lot of
I don't know how
Kenyans
many
from
levels. My uncle
yeah,
also went
many,
to
even up to university.
Uganda.
Yeah, and also, if someone is listening in Kenya, where can they find your? Okay, I would definitely like tag on Instagram, but just before you conclude, just speak like to what you have learned, like sum up what you've learned. How can you speak to a girl out there who has struggled, for instance, with doing something that they thought they loved,
Okay.
Yeah.
One thing I didn't touch on is I had to struggle with self-esteem because so I think most of my life was hard, kinda, because one, it was hard, but two, it was educative. One, I had to struggle with eczema. Two, that means I had to be acceptant of what was going on at that time and who I was, and the fact that eczema is a skin condition that's not really common, especially in Kenya or like in Africa or in East Africa. I think it was very hard to explain that this is what I'm going through and it's not my fault, it's not genetic, you're not gonna get it, it doesn't mean I'm dying. And sometimes they would equate it to things like AIDS. It was scary also for me growing up as a kid. So there's a time I was really struggling to accept who I was. But with the whole experience I was having in life, just navigating it, like just, let's say from my mom's death and being in school, changing schools, because I had a lot of culture shock too, going to like another place after my mom died. That was like in high school. And then eczema came, and then I had problems. As a normal girl, a teenage girl, I would like to tell them these problems exist. They're there. Like, don't look at people in social media and be like, oh my God, she must have had it nice all the while. No, we're just not choosing to cry about our problems all the time. I'll talk about eczema because I'm trying to teach about eczema. I won't talk about eczema because I'm trying to tell people, oh my God, can you imagine I went through eczema? No. I went through eczema and I want to help people with eczema. So I started like in high school, I was like, I want to help people with eczema to know what is eczema. That is from what I had gone through, and it was hard. It was so hard. I had to cover my whole body. So I had to struggle with it. And also I feel like I had a bigger task because my sisters, especially the younger one, also had eczema. So I was like, if I'm gonna choose to beat myself up, and I'm gonna choose myself to beat myself up for being sick and mommy's not there and what, then what example am I setting? You know, it was kind of hard also for me to try and cry when I had to be responsible. So I'm not telling any person outside there, or any woman, or any child, or any teenager, or any girl outside there to like cover up their emotions, but please try and look at the bright side of things. It helps a lot, and it kind of also does, you don't waste time. I feel like if I would have wasted time, I would have still been wasting time till now. I'd have been like, Sasa, how can I model with all these marks in my skin? My first shoot, I think I'll even share with like the world, by the way, this coming week, I had spots all over, and I was like modeling like some outfits that were quite, they're revealing, like your skin can be seen. So that was my first test, and I aced it. I was like, I'm from hospital, I've been through biopsies, I have marks, am I still going to do this shoot? And I did it. So I spent less time complaining and more time thinking about, what am I going to do? I need to get out of this predicament, this situation. What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? Looking for solutions helps a lot. Also with relationships, write it down, tell yourself, let's look for a solution as we wait for this to happen. We'll come and update later. I can't sit down and wait for things. With like education and all of that, go to school, be smart. I'm a teacher and I'm talking to you being like, oh my God, I'm a fashionista and I'm Gen Z. I'm a teacher still. So be smart. Nobody will ever tell you in this world what you should do. Think, have a brain. It helps a lot. Be true to yourself, because I mean, we are all trying to do something outside here, but if that is really your purpose, then even if you don't get all the luxuries you think it comes with having a passion, as you've seen like people give you in like social media and everything, it's the amount of life you live just being you, the amount of friends you make just being you, the amount of money you make just being you. Because that one I learned in campus. Okay, I was living a baby girl lifestyle with my money, a big girl syndrome. And allow yourself to be soft, allow yourself to be loved, allow yourself to be taken care of, and always have a support system. Sometimes that's your sisters, like me, support queen. And then sometimes that's your sisters, sometimes that's your friends, sometimes that's your mom, sometimes that's your dad. Like, just have friends. It helps. That's all I can, because I've been where I've been, I've survived how I survived, grown how I've grown because of the support of my friends to some extent.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Jofita. That's very amazing what you've shared. I think I've learned so much from Michael. I learn a lot from every conversation that I have with people, and like you, I really love to talk to people. Like I love to hear their stories because they kind of make me understand my life from your perspective. Now I'm like, I have to reflect about this. I think I understand so many of the things about myself because of what you've shared, even if like there's a huge age gap between me and you. There's always a lot to learn. Exactly. There's always a lot to learn. So thank you so much for that. And I'm very sure that people who are listening to this are going to relate a lot, mostly the Gen Z. They will relate a lot because
okay,
it's
anyway,
tough out there.
I accepted his stone cast. I'm used to it.
No. This is a safe space for anyone who is listening.
Sometimes it's so hard for people to admit. Like, I'll tell you, go to school and you think it's not that easy. It's not even me. I had easy in math.
Exactly.
But
so
it's good.
This is a safe space. Whatever is said here is safe. I'm trying to build a safe community. So thank you so much. I appreciate your time. I don't take it for granted, and thank you for accepting my invitation. And to the people who are listening out there, I hope that Jofita's knowledge at her little age of 20 something, her wisdom,
just above 25, just above.
Yeah, just above. I hope that wisdom makes you reflect on your life and make you realize that don't be a coward. If things don't work out, pack up your things and follow the things that you love to do the most. You will be happy. Yes.
And it will be hard, but you will be happy.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much. Please help me spread the word by sharing our episodes with your friends, family, and followers. Let's amplify the voices of women, break barriers, challenge stereotypes, and create a network of support and empowerment. Together, we can bring about positive change and make this world a better place for all. This is She Center, the female podcast, where women's stories matter. I love you all. God bless.